So what are the core traits that top sales professionals display? Regardless of the era that the article was from, the tone of the article, or who the author was of the article, each one came back to these core 8 traits. Being a good listener, being unself-conscientious, being empathetic, having perseverance, being a rule bender, being professional and trustworthy, being audacious, and being a problem solver, especially in times of ambiguity. And what's even more amazing is that after working with hundreds of future and current sales professionals, when we ask them to step up to the whiteboard and write a list of sales traits that successful sales professionals have, every time the words written on the board fit easily into one of these 8 categories. We'll start off with being a good listener, as this was one of the most common traits that we came across in the articles, and we almost always see it in the classroom. And to emphasize the importance of listening further, in most customer research studies, listening comes up as one of the most important traits that buyers look for when working with a sales professional. The bottom line is if you're not carefully listening to what your buyer is telling you through her words, her body language, and her actions, you won't know how to best bring value to the relationship. For this reason, we have an entire breakout session dedicated to active listening, so you can bring those traits out into the field. To evaluate your listening skills, ask yourself these questions. During a dialogue with a buyer, am I intently listening and not thinking about what I'm going to say next? Am I maintaining comfortable eye contact and keeping my focus on the speaker? Unself-conscientious is one of my favorites. It means that you're not concerned with what others think about you. Now, it also does not mean that you're willing to make yourself look dumb. Anyway, that would not fit with being a professional. However, it does mean that you're not afraid to pick up the phone and make a cold call or walk into an office without an appointment. I've worked with many sales professionals who were so afraid of being told no and feeling embarrassed that they would rather not hit their goals instead of making a cold call or an impromptu presentation. Bottom line is, until you stop worrying about getting your feelings hurt from rejection or getting embarrassed, being a top sales professional is going to be a tough ride. Being unself-conscientious means you are willing to create your comfort zone around your long-term goals. Otherwise, you'll find that you create your long-term goals around your comfort zone. Questions to ask yourself to evaluate your ability to be unself-conscientious. Am I more concerned with accomplishing a task instead of worried about embarrassing myself? Do my long-term goals supersede my superficial needs of social acceptance? Empathy is another trait that we saw come up in pretty much every article. Empathy can be described as the ability to feel as another does. When discussing empathy during our workshops, it's inevitable that someone will bring up the saying, put yourself in someone else's shoes, which is a great explanation of empathy. To take this figure of speech a little bit further, what would you say represents your buyer's shoes? Maybe their needs and wants, the goals that they are trying to achieve, their fears, possible outcomes that they're trying to prevent, anything that keeps them up at night. So now consider this question. Before you can put yourself in someone else's shoes, what must you do first? Now, we've heard many answers to this question, from spray disinfectant in the shoes to making sure that they will actually fit. These are all great answers, but to really be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, you must first take off your own. Let's repeat that. To put yourself in someone else's shoes, you must first take off your own shoes. That means you must push your needs and wants off to the side and place 100% of your focus on the needs of your prospect. Things like your commission check, your quota, the numbers at the end of the month. You have to forget about all these things before you can put yourself in your customer's shoes. Questions to evaluate your ability to empathize with a prospect. Are you able to place your customer's immediate needs ahead of yours in order to accomplish your long-term needs? Do you disengage your personal matters when working with a prospect or a client and focus on what is in it for them? How often do you use words like I, me, or my when talking to a prospect? Here's a common example. Miss Prospect, I would love to schedule a meeting with you to show you how my company can help. Perseverance and mental agility are critical throughout the sales cycle. In sales, you'll get told no many times. And you must have the strength and the determination to continue working towards your goals. You'll also need the mental agility to find new ways to work within the same or different boundaries without getting burnt out. Throughout your sales career, you'll experience many internal and external changes that will affect your outcomes, some good, some bad. Top sales professionals accept those changes with a winner's attitude and adjust as necessary. Others complain and grumble, using those changes as an excuse for their poor performance. Questions to ask yourself to evaluate your perseverance. Do you accept change, good or bad, with a positive attitude? After losing, do you get back in the game quickly and look for a better way to win next time? Top sales professionals look for legal and ethical ways around hurdles that come up throughout the day. As an enhancement to their problem-solving and perseverance traits, rule-bending sales professionals use creativity to design a new way to win. It is important to mention that rule-bending is very different than rule-breaking. Questions to evaluate your rule-bending quality. If a prospect's office had a no soliciting policy, would you deliver a gift basket that included useful industry or market information in order to get in front of that prospect? If coworkers decided to leave a mandatory conference early because they thought no one would find out, would you go against the grain and stay? From the first second of meeting you and throughout your interaction, your prospects are evaluating whether or not to trust you based on the smallest of details. From the way you dress to the organization of your materials, your knowledge, your language and grammar, your body language, the way you respond and follow up, and the list goes on. Top sales professionals are committed to the highest level of professionalism, even when others around them aren't, including other prospects or coworkers. Even if and when clients are drinking too much at an event or pushing the boundaries but not breaking them on ethical and moral behavior, they are still evaluating your actions and how you respond in these situations. If you want to be someone they can always count on, you must maintain your professionalism in all these scenarios. Keep in mind that professionalism does not necessarily mean boring or stuffy. So it's okay to have fun, but it's just not your turn to push the extremes. Questions to evaluate your professionalism. Do you assure the order of all your materials, including your car, product samples, attire, and style are one level up from the standard in your industry? Would your clients and prospects feel you're responsible enough to trust you to babysit their kids? Top sales professionals are calculated risk takers. Top sales professionals are willing to put their income on the line and get paid based on their performance. Top sales professionals are comfortable being uncomfortable. They are audacious because they know that being bold is the only way to recognize the best opportunities in their career. Questions to evaluate your audaciousness. Once confident in your sales ability, would you accept a lower salary for a chance to triple your total income? If you saw the CEO of a company you've been prospecting at a restaurant, would you introduce yourself if you knew you could bring value to his company? Problem solving with minimal information is difficult. However, for most sales professionals, it's a daily reality. In the classroom, we have rubrics that tell us exactly how we'll be graded. In sports, we have clear rules of the game and clear objectives for each of the plays. In sales, not so much. In most cases, prospects won't give you a rubric. Even if you receive a request for proposal, it's unlikely you'll be told about the buyer's personality and how to build trust with them so you can close the sale. And while you will know your quarterly objectives, you'll have multiple competitors out in the field. Top sales professionals know how to work with ambiguity and decipher where to point their efforts and when. And as luck would have it, problem solving within ambiguity is the focus of our sales methodology discussion. Questions to evaluate your problem solving ability. When challenges arise, do you have a systematic way to look for solutions? When faced with problems, do you feel energetic and ready for action? Wow, there really is so much more to being a top sales professional beyond knowing your product and memorizing some clever closes. Now you know why the earning potential in a sales career is so high and why top sales professionals are so well respected in their company. While these same 8 traits have been the cornerstone to successful sales careers, there's an interesting study that shows the 2 critical traits top sales professionals have that actually encompasses all 8 of these irrefutable traits we just discussed. In fact, these researchers were able to predict with over 90% accuracy the success of hundreds of sales professionals across 3 different industries. Can you guess what the 2 traits are? Let's see if you're right in our next session.